The more games that I play, the more stats the other teams will have on me.
So how do you play against middle blocker who is like waiting?
What they do to one other team, not necessarily is what they're going to do to us. So it's like, yeah, you want to move those guys. For example, if I always set the middle on the first ball of the game, then the other team will. It's just like standard, I guess, volleyball. Exactly. If you have a guy that's on fire and scoring all the balls, you have. I don't really change my style of play depending on the other team.
Luke Herr, Canadian national team setter, is my guest at the Volley Coach podcast, and our topic is related to setting because we will be speaking about how he's preparing for the games if he knows that he's facing a good middle blocker on the other side. So tell me, Luke, what do you do before the game to prepare for these good blockers?
Yeah, so basically before each of the matches, I figure out the middle blockers on the other team and kind of try and profile what kind of player they are. So for example, are they small? Are they big? Are they fast? Are they slow? Do they move better in one direction to the left or to the right? Do they like to commit? Do they like to reblock more? And once I have an idea of kind of from watching film what kind of middle blocker they are, then I can decide my game plan for that match depending on those factors.
So you don't have one static gameplays that you start with the attack of the middle blockers just to make them, connected with the middle blocker and then play fast. You are just deciding upon the middle blocker.
Yeah. Basically, I just see what more on who's blocking, and it also has factors to do with the middle blocker, but also with the outside blockers. Like for example, if there is a smaller setter, I will know that the middle blocker will usually shift in that direction. So a whole blocking line, basically what they're gonna do. And I also, obviously, the more games that I play, the more stats the other teams will have on me. So I will also take this into consideration of what I did in previous games, how I started, what my game plan was. I know that they will obviously know what I like to do, so I try to play a little game like that.
And it also depends on the reception or the quality of the passing, because if you have all the time balls on the 3 meters, then you cannot be like magician and play everything for the one hands, no?
Of course. Yeah, when the reception is good, is more plus reception. When I like to do my game plan, and then when the ball is off the net, for me, it's just set a good ball and not worry too much about a little bit of matchups, but more just giving a good ball for my attackers to be in the best spot to score.
Mm-hmm. And I know that there are many types of a middle blocker. Everybody has some characteristics. So how do you play against middle blocker who is waiting, who is not jumping in front, who is not committing, who is just waiting? What is your strategy or advice for my viewers?
Yeah, those type of middle blockers, you want to run the middle early and move your middle around. So you're not just always running directly at them, because the middle blockers who like to wait in the middle, if you always run the first tempo directly at them, they're going to be able to touch the ball with. If you move the middle around a little bit and run some push, run some 7 or behind, something like this, it can make them to start think. And if they're always standing in the middle and you score, then they're going to have to shift into to stop the middle.
And I think this will be the similar if you have tall middle blockers who doesn't have to jump. If he's 2.10 m, I think this will be similar, that you want to move him to the sides and not going directly with the attacks to him. No,
exactly. Some middle blockers, when they put their hands up at the net, their whole hands are over the net. So yeah, you want to move those guys, and then playing a little separation offense against bigger and slower guys. So you run a few first tempos away, 7, and then if you see them move a little bit out of the corner of your eye, you can set a ball back and they won't be able to close that distance so much.
And on the other hand, if you know that some middle blocker is crazy, if you have good reception and he's jumping with the middle blocker, I think it will affect also your setting, that at that time, at this game, maybe the middle blockers will not get so many points and you balls, and you will set more to the outsider and opposite.
Exactly. And the pipe, of course. That's one of my favorite sets to do. And the middle blockers understand that once you get to a certain level, they know that to do their job, sometimes they don't get many balls during the game, but that's just because they're respected by the other middle, and he's always jumping. So when it's their time, they know that they'll get the ball.
And I know that it's a long-term, not rule, but many setters are starting the games with quick attack of the middle blockers, so just to make them, connected with the middle blockers, and then they expect that the middle blockers will pay more attention to the middle, and then they start to play with the outside. Do you also use this statistic or technique in your games?
Yeah, I don't really have for every game I start setting the middle and then go to the outsides. I think it's just like game dependent on what I've done in the past and what I will do. Because, for example, if I always set the middle on the first ball of the game, then the other team will know that and then jump on the first ball. So I like to mix it up and do one thing, and then once the other team adapts to my game plan, then I can like switch and change it up. So, for example, if I'm running a lot of pipe in position to the wings, and the middle blockers are waiting, then I know that the next ball that comes perfect, I can give to my middle if they're nice and fast, and they'll have a good look at that.
And I was speaking about similar topic with Mika Christensen. He said that yes, I want to set on one single block, but if, for example, TJ DeFalco is killing 60% of the balls, I'm not. I don't care so much about the middle blocker because I know that if he's scoring the points, I can set a little bit higher. And even if the middle blocker is reading me well, he's still scoring. So I think it's also in your arsenal of the sets that sometimes you know the stats and the games that some player is doing well. So then you are setting him and you are not paying so much attention if the middle blocker is arriving or not.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a guy that's on fire and scoring all the balls, you have more confidence to give him the ball, no matter, even if the other team knows that you're going to set there, you still can give him the ball in the situations and know that he'll have a good chance to score. And that just goes to, feeling the game and at certain moments knowing like who your go-to guy is and in like the crunch times and giving him the ball. And if you make a good set to him, even if it's one block, two block, he'll have a good chance to score. Yeah.
And do you think that you are affected in the position where you are starting with your approach to the set? Because sometimes you are in the back zone in three rotations, so you have like a longer run to go to the net. Or if you are in the front row, that if you are maybe in the back row, you are not playing so much first tempo because you have to be fast there and the ball is sometimes not coming to you. Do you also think that this is affecting your setting against the good middle blocker?
Not so much. It's more affected like where the blockers are and if I have some big help blocker from their other side, like position 4, and I'm front row and our opposite is back row, I know that they're gonna pinch in a lot. So running a first tempo directly on me probably isn't the best choice. And if they have a smaller setter, then running the first tempo, even if I'm front or back, running the first tempo over there, that zone is a good choice.
Yeah, this is also Benjamin Toniotti, also my guest at the Volley Coach podcast, was speaking about this, that sometimes when he's back row, you know, he can expect no front row, he can expect a big help of this outside hitter on the middle. So he's playing fast to the outside hitter just to make them work and to not commit all the time and not having 2 blocks against a middle blocker. And then he's playing this 7 outside from the middle blocker. So I think that you are using the same strategy that is like very successful strategy in this case.
Yeah, this is just like standard, I guess, volleyball. Like that's the idea. When the opposite is back row, you know that they're not. You don't run as fast of a ball. Like when the opposite's front row, you can shoot them the ball back a bit quicker. But when they're back row, it's a bit of a slower ball, and so the outside blocker will help a lot. So it's like the little game inside the game that setters have to deal with during the match. Like, yeah, the bigger volleyball game, but then kind of like strategizing exactly what you'll do in each situation, what the matchups are in my front row, my back row, who are my attackers, who are my blockers. There's a lot of thought, and you can go really deep into it and really like overanalyze it too. But yeah, it's best to keep it like simplified, because if you think as a setter, if you start thinking too much what the matchups about in my front and my back, okay, this then before the serve is coming, it can be a lot to think about. So I think the basic strategy, like keeping it simple, is the best, and then adapting a little during the game, because of course if you do something and it's working, the other team has to adjust to what you're doing. So being able to like adapt on the fly and like during the match, I think is the most important.
So when you're speaking about adapting, so it's easier for you to play, to feel the game during the game, not in the start, because in the start you don't know exactly, you know, how the other team is prepared, if the middle blocker will commit, if they are not, if they are following your set. So I think the longer the game, the better for you.
Exactly. Yeah, the more the game goes on, the more I can like gather information on and remember like past rotations, what kind of they did against like in this rotation on a good reception. I remember they committed, so probably next time around, if it worked for them, they'll do the same, and stuff like this. And it's always tough to tell, like when we're doing like video sessions and game planning, like what they do to one other team, not necessarily is what they're going to do to us. So it's like, it's difficult to go into the game knowing exactly what they're going to do. So that's when I like look at my tendencies more than like what they've done to other teams, like what I like to do in certain situations, like when the reception is shifted front or back or off the net, and or when I call a certain call, what I like to play, and then think what kind of middle blocker they have, and then kind of make my game plan there, and then just adapt, as the match goes on.
Yeah, I can tell you only my experience as an outsider or opposite, and it's easier for these players because they are only thinking when the ball is flying. Now they have to make the action, but you have to decide. Who will be attacking, and do you also have some kind of how to say difference between your setting against good middle blocker at the crucial moments, because that 7 is good against him, but even at the toughest moment, 24-24, you still play this because it will be successful, or you play with your safe player or the player that is making points.
Yeah, this is the trick of the setter. It's I guess it's different each game, and I like to do more kind of what I'm more comfortable with and what I think is gonna score the best, and not like do some set that I'm not like so good at. I'm more of a risky set, which I know will be a good look, but just give a good ball to the guy who I know is hot at the moment, and then trust him to score. And on each team, you as a setter, kind of who you guys are. Like you usually have like 2 guys that are like your go-to guys in the clutch, and that when you need a point in 2020 or in the tie break or something, and in the end of the set, that this guy is more than likely going to get you the kill. So it's the game inside the game, like I said, like being able to use all your pieces and set it up, and so in the moment when it really matters, you can give the ball to your guy and score.
Mm-hmm. And since you also participated and played at the Olympics, and Canada is progressing a lot, but still we cannot count it, or I cannot count it as a top 3-5 teams in the world, maybe in 1 or 2 years. How do you play against these stronger teams like Poland, Italy, USA, if you know that not only the middle blocker is good, but also their defense on the block or defense in the field is good? Do you risk more, or do you play your what you feel, what you agreed with your team and with the coach that could be like successful?
Yeah, I don't really change my like style of play depending on like the other team. And my style of play is more just like set good balls, and I'm not too much of like a flashy setter that likes to like fake one thing, do the other thing. But my style is more just make good technique, make good sets, and let my hitters like worry about the rest. And I'm not too worried about the other team or how our spikers are gonna like feel and stuff like this. Like I try not to. As a setter, you cannot worry too much about like outcome. You can just give your hitters the best chance and put them in the best situation that you possibly can, and then let them do their thing, because that's what they're there for. And then the moment you start worrying about, okay, are they gonna do this? Okay, the other team is like this. Then too many thoughts like start coming in your head. We already have enough as setters, like the idea of the game, like I was saying, and the game plan, and like changing and always making like the right decision and making a good set. So once you start like thinking too much about the other team, about your attackers, about all these sorts of things, then it becomes overwhelming, and that's when it starts to break down. But no matter who is on the other side of the court, I like to go in with my game plan and adjust depending on what they do. And the good teams are going to be better at adjusting fast and being able to read me. And even if they are reading me well and my game plan isn't going as best, then it's my job just to give a good ball to my hitters at the end of the day. And if they have 2 blocks, okay, they can, if I put them in a good situation, then they have a good chance to score, I think.
And I think also it depends on the quality, as we were speaking, or as I said, the passing, because if you are passing always in the jump, you can play with the middles, everything, it's perfect. But if you are on the 2 meters, then it's not so easy to get the middle blocker to pay attention to you. So sometimes you have to play this shoot. You cannot play on your head. You cannot play like behind you. So I think this is also depending on the every game is different, that you cannot say that, okay, now I will have a ball in 2 meters and I will always connect with the middle blocker because I know that he's not paying attention. So you have to adapt all the time, I think, in every game against every ball against every team because it's a and the teams are different because one time the Polish teams will follow your middle blockers, second time they will not pay attention. So it's like adapting and oversmarting the other team.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like you said, before the pass comes, you have no idea where it's going to be. But I like to have like a plan and a B plan. So like pick a couple, like what I think they're going to do, pick a couple guys that I think are going to be my best options when the reception is like perfect at the net or I'm jumping. And then if the reception is off the net and I can't run the middle or something like this, then I go with my another option. But yeah, volleyball is such an interesting sport. It's like so random. It's a game of inches, a game of, it's fast paced in the moment and always have to be adapting like on the fly. And yeah, teams are serving like really well. And yeah, reception isn't easy these days, but it makes obviously my job easier when the ball is at the net, but then also to help out the passers. I like when the receivers feel free, and if the other team is serving super hard, just to keep the ball like high and on 3 meters, and then I can run the offense from there because everything inside of the 3 meter line is still possible to run the middle, to run the pipe, to run the wings at a good tempo. So if the other team is serving unbelievably, the receivers, you don't have to pass like perfectly on the net. You just want to keep the ball somewhere where I can nice and high, where I can still set for 3 meters somewhere around there, and then the offense can be run effectively out of there.
And what do you think about as a setter? Because you are experienced setter, you are over 30, but still in a good shape. What do you think about the near future in 3, 5, 10 years? What could happen? What could change for the setters to play faster, to play more fake, to play with the bump, first tempo? What would you think that could be like next, like not major, but some way that the setters will start to set?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
It's tough,
but it is tough because every setter has their like own style. Like some guys like to fake more, some guys like to go for like a more risky set, some guys are more technique based. But to be honest, I don't know the adaptation of the game because the offenses are quite hard to stop. I think nowadays when the reception is good, so kind of where we're headed, I think is good in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't see anything switching. But I did always wonder when I was younger what it would be like to put the setter with his like other way facing the net, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always thought that when I was younger because most setters are right-handed, and okay, most attackers are also right-handed, so that would make a complication. But for the setter dump, it's always with the left. But I think it would be cool. I don't know if this would ever happen, but if the setter moved exactly to the opposite side and had their left facing the net, so they could spike easier. So I always thought that would be cool, but I don't know if that will ever. I've never actually tried it, but that's something.
Maybe you can surprise somebody because nobody ever tried it, and you can surprise. Nobody will be faster to adapt to this.
Yeah, exactly. It would throw everything in a spin for the offense, and everything would have to be backwards then. But it always intrigued me as to if that would happen.
I remember one setter when I was playing like 10 years ago, and he was playing in Switzerland, and he was standing always with this back close to the net. So he was setting like this and that. He was not watching where he was setting, and he was like, for us, it was surprising because he was quite decent, good. But on the other hand, on the highest level, you cannot see that because then you are not precise as you need to be. So I think this position is it's quite difficult to say.
Yeah. And for an example like that is now it's key to like kind of see the middle blocker out of the corner of your eye. Like I know a lot of people like to like turn their head and look, but I'm not so good at that, so big on that. It always felt like uncomfortable for me to do like take my eyes off the ball and like stare at the middle blocker. But yeah, if your back is towards the net, you can't really see, but I can see out of the corner of my eye kind of like what they're doing, and then I can make my decision from there.
Okay, and if you could pick one most important thing for you when you are playing against these tall, good middle blockers who are like waiting, jumping, adapting to the game, what would be your advice for the listeners or for the viewers of my podcast?
Yeah, I think to not overthink maybe the offense, because at some moments you cannot know exactly what the other team is going to do. So as a setter for me personally, if I'm just trying to like get in the game and okay, it's difficult to read the situation, I focus on like the fundamentals and just like setting good balls. So like getting my feet to the ball, like having it in good position and like setting a good ball. And at the end of the day, that's the most important. Like thing, and that's kind of like the basis of my game and how I like to play is just good technique and good form and setting good balls. And at the end of the day, if you do that, and even if your game plan is a complete disaster or things aren't going your way, if you're setting good balls and keeping your hitters in good rhythm, then your team has a chance to be successful, no matter who you set at the moment.
Yeah, I completely understand and agree because if you are setting magic balls, but nobody can attack them, it's not your job. You have to be like connected with every spiker. Every spiker is different. Somebody wants a quick ball, somebody wants a little bit more parabola. So if you give him the ball that he wants, then you have like team the best possibility to score and to be successful in the game.
And some teams are doing like the middle blockers are doing like some fakes and this and okay they step one way, they go the other way. So if you're focusing too much on that against teams like this or players like this, then it can take away from what you're doing, and then you're watching them, they're faking, and then you make a bad ball, and then it just goes it goes down real quick.
I understand. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much, Luke, for your time and for your advice for the setters. I believe that many will take some advice from you, and I wish you good luck in your season and take care. And of course, I wish to Canadian national team to play even higher level than now and to be still in a good shape. Thank you for your time and bye bye.
Awesome. Thank you so much.